Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to our podcast.
What is the name of that podcast, anyway?
This is Shonen Grump, and who might you be, good sir?
I'm Alec.
Hi, Alec.
Hello.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, it is nice to see me again. I'm glad you got to see me.
Yes.
That's what my uncle says. Like when we do get-togethers, and then he's leaving, he says, "Glad you got to see me," and then leaves.
That's cool.
That is cool. Anyways, who are you, strange mister?
Well, I'm Chris.
Cool.
And surprisingly enough, I'm your co-host on this podcast.
Wow. All right. Cool. That's good to know. So what do we normally do on this podcast?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna talk about games and anime, and then various pop culture things as they're relevant. We do this pretty much every week.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Yeah.
I like those things. So that's cool.
Well, I do too. So it's probably a good thing that the two of us are hosting the show.
It is. Yeah. That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
So why don't we start off by talking a little bit about what we did the past week? So Alec, I have to ask you, did you have a week?
I did have a week. Yes. It was a very interesting, strange week. Because my folks are out of town, and so I had the whole house to myself, which has been nice in some respects.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't have to. I can basically do whatever I want whenever I want. I can use the TV. I can play games. I can watch whatever I want.
Which for you is great because you live on a different time schedule than the rest of the Earth.
I do. I mean, I do. I guess I sort of do. I mean, like, I don't really know what you mean by that, but
you stay up till all hours.
I do. I mean,
whatever.
I feel like I'm more. I've gotten a little bit more responsible these days. Having to get up at 6 o'clock every morning
Kind of does that to you.
Yeah, it does sort of do that to you. Yeah. So I don't necessarily do that as much anymore. But I mean, there are occasional times I do that. But usually when it gets late enough at night, anyways, I have friends who want to Skype late at night, so I'll usually do that till I fall asleep. So that can be, anywhere around like 10 or 11 or something, and then from there I'm booked till whenever I fall asleep. So.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's not necessarily always like I've got tons of time, because it's like I've got time that I need to spend with that. In any case, yeah. So that has been kind of nice. I tried my hand at cooking on Monday.
Nice. What'd you cook?
I made some chicken. What was it? Crap.
You made crap.
Yes, I made crap in the
and ate it.
Gross.
You said it, not me.
I did. No, well, I can't remember everything. Okay, I made squash, summer squash. I fried some summer squash. I did that. That was cool. It was delicious. So chicken, and why can't I remember it's like rice, but it wasn't rice. It was the pilaf. There we go. Rice pilaf. That's what it is.
We arrived there eventually.
Whew. All right. It was like quiz time. Yeah. So I made all that. That was fun-ish. I made a huge. I was making a mess, and it was a time, you could say. But it was fun. It was enjoyable. It was a good experience. Good learning experience. I learned how to do some stuff I'd never really done before. So I did that. That was cool. That lasted me a couple nights, so that was good. Let's see. I caught up on some YouTube a little bit, watching some of my subs, and that was been fun.
Who did you catch up with?
RedLetterMedia. I hadn't watched them in a while, so they had like 2 best of the worst episodes, and those usually last like an hour. So I had like 2 of those and a couple half of the bags to get through. For those of you who don't know, RedLetterMedia is they're most well known for the Mr. Plinkett Star Wars reviews. It was like, Star Wars Episode 1 is the most disappointing thing since my son. And it just kind of goes on from there.
Those are great.
Yeah, they're great.
The protagonist.
They call his character the protagonist.
I call things the protagonist all the time.
Played by famed Scottish actor Ewan MacDonald. Yeah, so they did those like back in the early, probably like 6 or 7 years ago now, I want to say. It was a while ago.
Something like that. We watched them when we were in college.
Yeah, I mean,
my freshman year.
I've seen them probably close to a dozen times. They're just really, really funny.
Yeah, I just rewatched them back when the new episode came out, when episode 7 came out.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I rewatched them before I went to go and see the new episode.
Oh, sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's, apparently there's one coming where he's gonna not only review episode 7, but they're gonna talk about stuff like Star Wars fan theories and stuff, like the, like, he's like, there's stuff that's saying, because in some of them, one of the guys pretends to be Darth Sidious and tells, "Rise, Darth Plinkett." And so it was like Sidious was being like, some people are saying George Lucas is a genius. With his ring theory. So they're gonna like talk. I guess they're gonna talk about that at some point too. But nobody really knows when exactly that's gonna happen. But the guy who puts most of those together of Red Letter Media, Mike, he actually really liked episode 7. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they'll do with how Plinkett reacts to episode 7. I don't know. It'll be funny, but because Plinkett is a character, obviously that they put on, but they've since had a couple different YouTube show or a few different YouTube shows they do. There's one they just started not too long ago called Review, and that one basically is they go back to kind of like older cult classic type movies and sort of like review them, look over them again, and sort of analyze them. So they've looked at like Escape from New York, which I haven't seen yet, so I haven't watched that one. They talked about Tremors was the very first review, which that movie is awesome, and yeah, it's hilarious. I don't know. Do you know anything about Tremors, Chris?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. It's basically like a group of people out in the middle of this town in the West, like a tiny town with like population of like 30.
Yeah.
And this town is being attacked by these underground burrowing monster creatures.
Oh, that sounds sick.
Mole
people.
It's hysterical. The movie is really, really funny because it doesn't really it takes that concept, which sounds ridiculous, and it never really takes it too seriously. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really, really well done movie. Kevin Bacon's in it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was an episode they did. They actually redid one on Ghostbusters. Also,
the new Ghostbusters,
the new one coming out. No, not the new one. The old 1980s one.
Oh.
Because the show is they're focusing on the older movies. So I actually did one on the original Independence Day also, which was interesting. But so that's their newest show. But they also have two other shows that I mentioned. Half in the Bag, which is usually that's like new releases they'll review.
Yeah.
So they did one on Independence Day Resurgence or whatever the heck it's called. They just new releases most of the time. So, and their other show is called Best of the Worst, where a bunch of them get together. There's two different variants of it. In one of them, they just pick 3 B movies on a theme, sort of like on a theme related, and they watch them all in a row, and then they get together and they debate which one they would argue is the best of the worst. By like they recap the movies and go over them, and then they argue which one they think would be the best of the bunch of them. The variant on that is the Wheel of the Worst.
Cool idea.
It is a really cool idea. I kind of want to do that with some friends sometime. Honestly, it'd be fun. Their variant on that is called the Wheel of the Worst, which people send in like really weird like infomercial VHS tapes or like strange how-to things and like really bizarre, odd, and disturbing things on it. And so they then spin a wheel and at random pick three of them, like Wheel of Fortune style,
Yeah, yeah.
and then they do the same. This follows the same formula from there. But that one's like specifically like weird infomercials and like stuff like that. So, that can be a lot of fun. That can be like they're basically like torturing themselves when they do that one. So that's funny, but yeah. So catching up on that, I watched some Game Grumps, not a ton. It kind of is like it gets really daunting when you get really behind on that.
They
on
put out
them.
a lot of videos.
Yeah, they put out a ton. They put out 3 episodes a day. So if you start getting behind on that, it's really hard to catch up. You need to have like dedicated viewing time in order to catch up, which is like I don't really have a ton of that, you know. So I did that. I caught up on some other things here and there, but nothing really that is jumping immediately to mind. Mostly spent time with that. That I always make sure to make time for because I love the content those guys put out, and it just very very funny, very well put together stuff. So, then let's see, I think I mentioned this last week. So there's this used game store, around me now that I discovered in the town right near the town I work in.
Yes, you did mention this last week.
Yeah, One Last Life. Well, I went back there. I think did I go back there a couple times or only just once? I can't remember. I went back there this Thursday, I think, and because I was playing Pokemon Go, which I've been playing a lot of as time has been going on. I can't
Same here. Yep, same here.
Yeah, every like I'll turn the app on at work a few times and like see if there's any stuff around. I feel like some of the bugs are kind of like working themselves out, but like
there was a bug I just noticed this past week where all of the Pokemon on your like nearby marker thing, they all show up as being 3 steps away, even if you're currently encountering them.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying. That just recently started because they used to be fine. That used to be fine, but now that feature seems to be all screwed up. There was actually a DDoS attack on it the other day too.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole program went down for everybody for a few hours.
That
yesterday.
was Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of kinks in it still, which is really problematic because like there are times where I'll throw a curveball and it won't count when I catch it. It won't count as a curveball.
Yeah,
that really bothers me when that happens, because that's like experience points I'm missing out on. So, because I'm still kind of a low level compared to everyone else. There's
what
like people that
you?
have like I'm only like level 8 or 9, I think.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of people are like I'll be trying to do gyms, and first and second of all, gyms are totally just they're so bad. They're really not well put together.
No?
I don't think so. I don't like them because they're just a DPS race. Basically, you just have to sink as much.
There's a dodge function, right?
There is, but it never works for me. It's never worked for me at all. I've always I've looked up people's like strategies, like, oh, this is when you're supposed to dodge. I've tried it. It like works sometimes, but it never works reliably enough for it to be worth using for me. I've never once had an encounter, even when I have great data, it still just doesn't work for me very well. So I don't understand, like, I don't like it. Honestly, it really bothers me because it's like I feel like, I mean, that and it's all based on you can't really be underneath whoever has beaten you's CP at all. like you really have to be like right on top of them. It's because I'm so far behind compared to everyone else. It seems. There's just no way. Like I was at a gym for a little bit, but like I got to be one of the trainers at a gym at one point. You leave a Pokemon behind, but that was for like maybe a few hours. It stayed behind, and I didn't get any experience points for it. So, or any my Pokemon didn't level up at all from it. So,
Yeah,
um,
I'm level 15. Just because I used a lucky egg the other day and just power leveled with all of the crummy Pokemon that I've been catching.
hmm.
Just
I haven't encountered any lucky eggs.
you get them. I think you get your first one when you hit level. I want to say level 8.
Oh, I didn't get one.
You said you were or maybe it's
I'm
level
level
10.
Maybe it's level 10 because
Yeah.
yeah, I haven't gotten one yet. And some people, because like okay, so the reason I'm mentioning it now because I went to this One Last Life place. There were just a bunch of people inside playing it, and it was cool, really cool.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yesterday I ran into a kid downtown, and he was just like, "Hey, are you playing Pokemon Go?" And I was like, "Yep." So he was like, "Can I come with you?" I was like, "Sure." So like me and my friend and this other random child, and by child I mean a sophomore in college, we all just hopped on our bikes and we just noodled around town catching Pokemon together. Like
See,
I'd never seen this kid before in my life. I'd never met him, but he was just like, "Do you want to go bike around and catch Pokemon?" And my friend and I were like, "Sure," and we just went.
that's awesome.
It was pretty awesome.
See, that's the thing. I my our mutual friend Matt, he was my roommate
Yeah.
my junior year in college. He made a Facebook post that I like 100% totally agree with. It was basically saying that like he was like, look, for a lack of a better description, like Pokemon Go as a game as an application is pretty bad.
Hmm.
Let's see. I wanna just because I don't want to misquote it because it was
It was pretty.
it was
It was
it was great.
pretty. A good. I think I gave it a like.
Yeah, it's a good summary. Here's a thought about Pokemon Go. Niantic and the Pokemon Company didn't make a great game. We did, and allow me to explain. Pokemon Go, the game itself, is a terrible game. It has the bare minimum amount of features needed to launch. You don't battle to catch wild Pokemon. You just throw balls at them and hope for the best. Though I will say there's a lot more mechanics and tricks to that than initially you would think.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. But then he's going on. The gym fights all boil down to having the highest CP and tapping the screen ad nauseum. Yeah, that's why I hate it. The team system has no depth apart from what color the gyms turned into if you win. And dear lord, is the app an unstable, bug-riddled mess. But the metagame, the game we built around it, it is something kind of amazing. It's the competition to outcollect friends. It's the stories of meeting new people playing outside. It's the memes and the pictures of Diglets coming out of people's pants. It's the rivalries between the teams. And that's something to be weirdly proud of, maybe, I think. Right? And I totally agree with him.
Yeah. I totally agree with him too.
Like, it's we're living in such a crazy, weird time where it's like there's all kinds of horrible things going on all the time. And this is like one of the most fun, interesting, wonderful distractions that I've ever come across. That like anything has ever happened. There's like 7 million people playing this game.
Hmm.
Or something like that. I heard there was like 7.5 million downloads or something like that.
It outdid Candy Crush day one.
That's crazy. It's like
all Candy Crush from like all time outdone in one day.
that's just nuts. So like the fact that this is bringing so many people together like this is just it's something special, you know? There's huge parties of like people getting together in Central Park in New York. Like there's just pictures of just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people around playing Pokemon. There's a group in just my tiny area of New Hampshire that has been made, and there's like 300 people in the group, and like there's like meetups and stuff. This One Last Life place was doing I don't know how well it went yesterday because of the DDoS attack, but they were doing a competition, I think, of some sort. I don't remember how it did, but the winner of the competition was supposed to get a like a gift card or something, like a $50 gift certificate to the store, depending on like who won or who was in the lead. I don't remember. I think it was gaining control of the gym, or the most gyms in Claremont or something. So, so yeah, I don't know. It's cool, but it's so. It really is something special and something amazing.
Yep.
So
It's what
it
it's what we always wished for since we were small children, playing the game on our handhelds. We were like, I want Pokemon to be in my backyard.
yeah,
And now there's a Pokestop in my backyard.
Yeah, that's right. Have you had like random people like come into your backyard?
Okay,
or...
so it's when I say my backyard, I mean I have to go into my backyard to get in range of it.
Oh, okay.
It's not literally in my backyard. I live right next to a church, so.
Yeah. So okay. Oh, okay. So this is one thing that I was kind of like, hey, what the heck, man? My church is a Pokestop, but the church up at the top of the hill is a Pokemon gym.
Yeah,
And I'm like, come on, man. What's up with that?
The church next to my house is a stop. My church is a stop, but there's a cultural landmark in my church's front yard that is the gym.
That's really funny.
So yeah.
This is interesting because I think our church has been like that church building. Ours has been around longer than the one at the top of the hill. So I just think that's interesting.
My church literally founded my town.
Yeah, the town hall's right. Is the town hall?
First Congregational Church of Hamilton was built on land that people they separated from the town of Ipswich because they wanted to build a church and Ipswich wouldn't let them. So they took that land and bought it from the town and built it, and then all the rest of the land, on the other side of the church from Ipswich became Hamilton. My church literally founded our town, and it's not a gym. There's like the statue of an eagle outside of it. That's the gym.
That's funny. Yeah, there's a couple gyms. There's a gym at the fire department, the volunteer fire department, and then there's a gym that's like 200 feet down the road at a landmark for the private school that's right in my town. It's not at the private school. It's for a historic marker for the high school. Which used to be a seminary.
There's a Pokestop for a park next to the library, but the park was torn down within the last year.
Huh.
So there's just this big empty lot of dirt and you can go there and
there's a gym.
Get a Pokestop.
Dun, da da dun, da 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 da. Every time I imagine the gym music every time I'm there. Yep.
Okay.
Alright, anyway. Yes. Pokemon.
I think we're still on your week, right?
Yeah, kind of still. So, but I mean, it's fine. Like, we can combine like your Go stories with mine, because like Pokemon Go is like it's huge,
Yeah.
It's like it's a really big deal, and I am really curious for the long game because, because like they don't have. I don't think they have all 151 available right now. They have somewhere.
I heard something about some Pokemon being region specific. So, like
really, I don't know if
some only will show up in the wild in North America. Some only show up in the wild in Europe. But you can get those ones in eggs if you're not in the region. So, like in North America, you can find Tauros, but you can't find Farfetch'd, but you could get a Farfetch'd from an egg in North America.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of rumors going around about it, and
still nobody knows how it works. We're playing version 0.2.9, so we're not even playing version 1 of this game.
Yeah, there was an update that came, actually, a little bit of an update.
Yeah.
I
It
typed
was
on my
just
phone, but
it was some login fixes. People were every time sometimes people would close the app and it would make them re-log in, like re-enter their username and password. And now
oh,
it just
that's
saves it per
yeah.
device.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. So yeah, that game, man, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I was inside that one last life, and just it was fun. I was in there for over like an hour playing with some people,
Yeah.
and it was fun because there's like three Pokestops like right around it and a gym. So
You
getting a lot of
triangulated.
yeah, more or less. It's like a great like meeting point, and they also sell Surge and the High Sea Ecto Cooler there, which I'm going to just abuse that because both of those things are very good, as I've discovered.
Hmm.
They actually taste pretty similar to each other. They both have a very like orange citrus flavor.
Yeah.
Surge is basically Coke's Mountain Dew. It tastes different than Mountain Dew, but it's more or less Coke's Mountain Dew.
What about okay? But then what's Mellow Yellow? Is that
Mellow
Dr.
Yellow?
Pepper's Mountain Dew?
Mellow Yellow is a Coke product. It's like it's weird. I don't know. Whenever I've had Mellow Yellow, I'm just like it just tastes like a more lemony Sprite. Like it has less
So
lime in it.
who
It just
owns
has more
Sprite?
lemon. Coke.
Then who does what? Dr. Pepper owns something else that isn't.
Dr. Pepper is the Dr. Pepper Sunkist 7-Up bottling company. It's those three sodas are like one company.
Okay. And then Mountain Dew is Pepsi. Who has Fanta?
Fanta might be an entity to itself. That or it's a Coke product. I think Fanta might be a Coke product. So, and there's all kinds of varieties of that. I'm gonna drink some strawberry Fanta. It's like, ugh, that just sounds wrong.
Yeah. Soda companies. There's a lot of them.
Yeah,
There's a lot of brands, and there's a lot of brands and not very many companies.
Yeah, there's a ton. Like, hey, there's A&W root beer, Mug root beer, and then there's like
Barks.
Barks. Barks is the Coke one. Barks is good.
Yeah.
I like Barks. I think A&W is its own company though,
Maybe.
because they
There's,
have that restaurant chain.
Yeah. There's a place up in Woodstock, New Hampshire, that bottles it's a little brewery, and they have growlers of root beer that you can go and get, and if you bring it back to them, they'll refill the growler for you for free if you bring the jug back. We have one of those because it's kind of up near Loon. It's kind of up near Loon Mountain, that area.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I know that area
I
pretty
forget the name of the place, but
Lincoln?
yeah, it's up near
there?
Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget the name of the brewery, but if you end up there, I recommend getting their root beer because it's delicious. They have like really good burgers too. It's like a little pub restaurant.
That sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I don't know if we ever did that when we went on vacation up there. That's cool.
Yeah, you should try and find it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, some weekend I suppose I could just
Go.
explore around, yeah. I could bring Pokemon Go with me and, look around for other gyms and places in other areas of New Hampshire.
Yeah.
But I need to level up a lot more before I do that. There's because everyone's got CP of like 1,000, and I'm like, oh, I still have Pokemon. Yeah. I haven't even reached over 200 yet.
Your level directly corresponds to the CP of the Pokemon that you find in the wild.
Yeah.
And the maximum amount of CP they can get. So right now I'm level 15, and I'm regularly finding like over 100 CP Pokemon, between 100 and 300. Yeah. And my friend who's about to hit level 20, he's finding like 350s to 500s.
It's crazy. I don't know.
And then when you level up, I don't know exactly how they calculate it. It must just scale up.
Yeah,
because
I think so.
He's evolving Pokemon up to like 1,200 or 1,300. So what I did last night was there's two stops at a church, which is like a block away from my house. I just sat down right in between the two of them, so I could access both of them, and I had my friend drop a lure on one of them, and I dropped a lure on the other, and then I turned on an incense and a lucky egg, and then I just started evolving Pokemon. So I spent the whole week leading up to that. Just catch everything you can. Catch every Rattata, catch every Pidgey, catch every Weedle, and get like 1,000,000 candies. Turn on your Lucky Egg, and just evolve everything, all the stage 1s into stage 2s.
That's how you can level up really quickly, right?
Yeah, with a Lucky Egg on, yeah, and just do that until you run out of candy for that Pokemon, and then do the next one. Do that for, half hour while your Lucky Egg's on. That will boost. I gained 2.5 levels, and I evolved like 18 Pokemon, and it gave me 2.5 levels.
Yeah, I need to do something like that. Of course, I need to get the Lucky Egg first.
Yeah.
It's just kind of sucks when you can't be competitive at the gyms, because I really want to. The stupid Team Valor, they own both the gyms right now, so right downtown here for me. So it's annoying.
It's like gang warfare is commonplace now.
It is. It's fun.
My friend and I,
it's really funny.
We took over some gyms down at the park downtown, and then we went and biked away. We biked almost 2 miles in some direction to try and find Pokemon. We biked back, and we showed up, and we noticed one of the prestiges on our gym was going down. So he and I biked our way over to this one kid standing by the tree that kind of marks where the gym is. And we just started circling him on our bikes. We were like, "So you taking over our gym, huh, buddy?" And he was like, "Ah!" like we were legitimately a gang.
That's really funny.
It was hilarious.
That's amazing. See, yeah, that's what we mean. It's so cool to seeing this, and it always gets me when people are like, "Wow, what a bunch of losers playing this Pokemon game." And it's like, okay, well, first of all, you're wasting your time complaining and making fun of people about it on your Facebook, and yet you're saying that we are wasting our time.
Yeah. There are so many people are playing. One of the gyms was owned by some kid I knew from high school that was a huge jock and picked on people, and he had the top Pokemon in a gym. There are girls wandering around, packs of teenage girls that you'd think would be ew, nerdy, but they're all hanging out together, walking around town with their phones out, playing Pokemon.
That's because, yeah, it's really awesome. I love seeing this. But the one interesting thing that I was talking with another friend of mine, and he's saying that when they update the game with Pokemon from other generations, he thinks they're going to lose a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to drop off, because it's the same thing's going to happen. They started with the first generation because it was the first one, but also that happens to be the one generation that has the most people who like it.
Yeah. I'd say people who love Pokemon and still love it now, have played each generation.
Yeah.
Most of the time I come across people say their favorite is either Gen 2 or Gen 3. Mm-hmm. Gen 2 is my particular favorite. I loved everything that game did. It felt like less of an incremental upgrade than the rest of them did. It felt like it was a whole new adventure in some sense, because of all the added features they put into it. That, and I love the region of Johto. But but it's interesting because he's been talking. This other friend of mine has been talking with people, and he's like, "Yeah, there's one guy I know that I work with. It's he's only playing it now because it has Gen 1 stuff. Because he's like," and I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah, I think you underestimate the amount of people that only like Gen 1 stuff, stubbornly to a fault." And I'm like, "That's really stupid."
So stupid.
It is really stupid, because it's there's just as many terrible designs in Gen 1 as there. Well, maybe not just as many, but there are bad designs in Gen 1, and there are bad designs in every generation. That's just going to happen. Mm-hmm. I think we've talked about that.
You can't hit a home run every time you get up to bat.
That's right. So, I mean, I don't know. So it's going to be interesting. There will be a lot of people that drop off, but the thing about that will be people like me who would stay interested, because I love Pokemon from all generations.
Yes, me too.
People like me who will stay interested in it will probably be like, "Yay, the servers are working a lot better now."
Oh yeah, for sure. Even though they're going to be opening it up to more regions, more people are going. Like the drop off's going to be insane.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But I'm really hopeful for that. So they'll do that someday. What is what's your like? What Pokemon do you have in your party? Right, like just like a few, just if like a top few.
I have to open my app because I have like almost 120 that I've just captured. And
Oh, geez. Okay.
most
Wow.
most of them are like repeats or the like my evolution thing. I just haven't cleaned it out yet.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I've been
see. I've been the thing I've been doing is almost every time. Oh my gosh. Every time that I get a duplicate, I usually transfer it unless has a higher CP. But
uh
now that you've told me about that
yeah,
method,
hold
that
on to
I
them.
probably have to hold on to them from now on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that I've so our college has almost 20 stops. By the way, so
Are you serious?
Yes, I biked there and I hatched an egg that had a Vulpix in it,
Oh,
and
hey, a
then
Caterpie.
I biked around there and got all the stops, and I found a Poliwag. There were Staryu, Execute, Horsey, um, female Nidoran, like all kinds of Pokemon there that I caught. I um, and biked back and I hatched an egg with a Geodude in it. And then on my way back, I found a Charmander. I found a Coughing. I found a Jigglypuff. I found a Venomoth.
A
I think,
Venomoth?
yeah,
Wow.
an evolved Venomoth. It was behind a drugstore, kind of in downtown. Um, Eggs. I've gotten interesting stuff from eggs. None of my friends had seen a Vulpix until my egg hatched, and I was like, "Oh, I got a Vulpix." Vulpix is low key one of my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like. I think it's great. Vulpix and Ninetales are two. Some of 'em are in my favorites, but I just don't really talk about them that much.
I think my egg hatched and it was just a normal. I was like a Venonat or something, and I was like, oh, that's too bad.
Yeah,
I
I
see
have.
those all the time, so I was like, oh,
Yeah, I have a
well.
handful of Venonats. My game's taken forever to load. I think my top six are I have a Venonat, a Pidgeotto, a Vaporeon, a Tauros, a Kingler, and I have a Bellsprout that's really, really strong. I need more candies for it.
So my top few are I have a Bellsprout that's 195, Jolteon that I evolved. Um, have you heard that if that like naming trick actually works or
Totally
not?
legit. Worked for me, worked for my friend.
That's
Totally
awesome.
legit. Yeah, if you nickname your Eevee one of the names that the Eevee Bros had from the anime, Sparky, Pyro, or Rainer. If you name your Eevee one of those things, it will evolve into whatever evolution it was. So Sparky's a Jolteon, Pyro is a Flareon, and Rainer is a Vaporeon. Totally legit. My friend got a Vaporeon, named it, and I got a Jolteon, named it
That's really
Sparky.
that's really cool.
So there you go.
For a while, people thought it was the move set, but that's actually not true.
No,
So
it's a fun little Easter egg.
yeah, I think that's awesome. I like how they implemented that. So I also have a Butterfree and a Pidgeotto, which are both CP 171. Gloom, which I think I caught that Gloom, and the Seadra I caught also, which is 161. I
Do you
caught a
have a
cat.
lake? Do you have any water near your house?
I no
No? How'd you get
no.
water type?
The Seadra I got. I wasn't near my house. I think I got that in town somewhere.
That's weird.
Um,
I've only ever found water types by the pond behind the dining hall at the college.
yeah, they actually. I think they do that specifically. They there's. I think that you can find them in other locations, but they try to. I think in general the GPS locator puts more of them near where water is.
Yeah.
So like,
I got a Goldeen from an egg, but I wasn't near water, but I don't think that really matters.
hmm. I caught a Poliwag. I think that was in town too.
Yeah, I found the Poliwag on college campus. I followed it around like a little marshy thing.
Hmm. So I've got so many eggs right now. I
You have
have
nine.
the two of them in incubators are both 10 kilometer ones. So that I have like only a kilometer and a half on one of them. So I might try to get that tonight sometime.
Yeah.
Just walk around a little bit with it. But
Hmm.
um, the other one's got a lot. But yeah, it's so do the kilometer amounts? Those have different Pokemon in each egg, right? I think.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the 2 kilometer ones are kind of like basic,
Pretty.
kind of like what you would find around your house, but also they have the starters in them. The 5 kilometers have a little bit rarer Pokemon and could also hatch some of the 2 kilometer ones.
Mm.
And then the 10 kilometer ones are like rare. So you get Lapras or a Snorlax in there.
Oh,
And,
sweet.
or you could get any of the other ones from a 5 or 2 kilometer egg.
Oh, okay. Now, and the CP is
So
that always like that doesn't always like range with your level, right? Does it? Or like cuz does it get better when you get better levels or does it mostly
as you
stay the
get
same? I
as you get
honestly
to a
haven't
higher
been.
level, you will find Pokemon with higher CP.
Okay, but the Pokemon that you've caught don't necessarily get already that they don't get better
No.
in that sense. Okay. So basically it's basically encouraging you to continue catching Pokemon.
Yes. And that's
Yeah.
why the stops are incredibly generous with Pokeballs.
Yes,
I
they are.
have my thing's ready. I have at this
My,
moment
my
120
stops.
127 Pokeballs and 76 Great Balls.
Yeah, see, I only
So I'm
have
full
I
up
ran
on
out.
I'm full up on Pokeballs.
I'm
Okay,
almost
so
out of
my
Pokeballs
top
now.
my top 6 are currently a Venomoth, a Lickitung, another Venomoth, 2 Raticates, and a Vaporeon.
Sweet. I think I have a Hypno too somewhere. I
I
have a
also
Hypno.
have a Hypno.
I think I might have caught that one. Just a normal Hypno. I know some people were catching. Some have caught evolutions in the wild, which is cool.
Yeah, I have how many EVs? I have 7 EVs and 2 evolutions. I need more candies though.
Oh
3
boy,
Magic
another.
Carps, 2 Coughings, 2 Drowsies, 3 Ghastlies, 4 Shelders, 2 Geodudes, uh, 6 Venonats, 5 Paras, 2 Oddish. I need more Oddish candies. I have
Yeah, I was kind of had run out of them too.
3 Zubats and 5 Nidorans, 4 Spearows, a load of Rattatas and Raticates, a load of Pidgeys and Pidgeotos. I have 19 Kakunas,
Wow.
just from all
Yeah.
the
So,
evolving.
so this game, man, this game is just like, yeah, I love it. It's like, kind of like Matt said, it's not really a great game, but like I love playing around with it. Like I don't know, there's just something about it that they've done a really good job, good job with. So
Mhm.
maybe it is because it's so basic, it's so accessible. But yeah, so that's been taking up quite a bit of my time. Every once in a while, I'll turn on and I'll go on a tear for a while with it. So drive around and do stuff with it. One night I got out of work and I just sort of drove around. So I went to that one last life and then I was stuck in there for a while because there was a big storm that was passing through, and then after that, then I just sort of drove around and collected stuff on Pokestops. I was having a good time with that. But while I was in there, I actually picked up, which is probably great for his business. I picked up a couple games. I picked up Fortune Street on the Wii, which was like normally I see that going for like a lot of money, but he had it for like under $10 there. So I was like, oh, okay. So I got that, and I got a Professor Layton in the Unwound Future, which was the Professor Layton game in the first trilogy that I was missing. So I was glad to pick that up. And I also got a Team Mystics like window decal, but then I accidentally I was going to apply it, and then I was like, I wonder if this is like. So I took it off the pack, the like the sticky stuff, the stuff where when you're supposed to apply it. And I
Yeah.
was going to apply it to my car, but I was like, I don't know if this is a car decal or a window decal. So I like went online and I like looked up, like I looked on their Facebook page and saw what he said, and I was like, okay, so it's a window decal specifically. So, but then I realized when I put it down, I didn't put it back down on the side that it was attached to before. I put it down on the back side of where, because you peel it off.
Yeah.
But I didn't put it back down on the side I peeled it off from. I put it back down on the other side. So I ruined it.
Nice.
And I was like, dang it. so I'll probably go back and get another one at some point. Honestly, like it's fine. I didn't really care that much because I was like, yeah, that's okay. I'll just get another one. Because like the business is really great, I really like the fact that he has it and that there's a cool game store like that that's right in my backyard now, pretty much, more or less. It's a half hour down the road, but
Yeah.
it's a lot closer than any of the other ones around, other than like GameSlop. So,
Mm-hmm.
so that was cool. I got that. I also picked up speaking of GameSlop, when I was in there a few times ago. I think I talked about this on one of the. I don't know if it was in the Lost episode or if it was in any other ones, but I pre-ordered a game called Song of the Deep, which is like a Metroidvania style game where you're a little girl in a submarine.
Yeah.
But they sold me on the collector's edition because it comes with like a children's storybook. So I got the collector's edition of that, and it's really cheap. It was only like $30 or something. So, totally worth it. I looked through the storybook. It's like, it kind of reminds me of Series of Unfortunate Events in terms of reading style, in terms of like ease of reading. So
Yeah.
it's really nice. I really like it, and I kind of want to read it to my nephew and nieces. I think that would be fun. But so I got that. That's about it. Zero Time Dilemma came, and I've been playing that
it came in the mail.
a little bit. I was kind of disappointed because I don't know, I don't know what the deal is with like my packaging, but the like plastic, the plastic on the 3DS sleeve, like the film,
Yeah.
is like all wrinkled, like it like got wet. So that it just like it when it came out, I was like, oh, it looks like crap. Thought it would look terrible. Fortunately, the actual like paper didn't get wet, so. But it looks like the rest of it got wet. I don't know. It's weird, but
That is weird.
so that was kind of like, oh, that's too bad. But and that has been. I haven't played very much. I only played maybe about a half hour of it. But whew, wow, I mean, like these games always kind of start you off like in the middle of something, but this one especially, like,
Just throws you right in the
throw
action.
you right in, like right in. It's like within the first 2 minutes, the bad guy's like, all right, make a decision.
Wow.
And you can actually see the credits after that decision, because I did. I made a decision, and technically, I beat the game, quote unquote. But I didn't really experience any of the story, and basically it ends where everyone's like, so what happened? They're like, we don't know. What's going on? And then the credits roll. So it's like... So that's I thought that was funny that they implemented such a quick like completion end, the quickest path in visual novel history. It might very well be, because this game really is a visual novel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there are. I'm assuming there are some puzzle rooms. I haven't encountered any of them yet at all. All of it has been dialogue and story so far. Which has been really nice because there are some returning characters from old Zero Escape games. So it's nice getting back into these ideas and these characters, and it's ramping up to be quite the experience, especially because it was so intense just from the beginning. They do such a great job. The writing in this, and like the whole atmosphere and music and everything is just like it really gets your heart racing, like in terms of like it's like life or death scenarios, and like I know it's just a game, but like it really they do a good job of getting you invested really quickly.
Nice.
So, yeah, absolutely. So doing that, I beat Mighty Number 9.
Oh, yay!
Yeah. So, general thoughts. Okay. So now I was mentioning Red Letter Media. Two of the guys, have two of the guys that Rich and wow, I can't remember the other guy's name. I'm terrible. But two of the guys have another show that's called Previously Recorded, and that's their game. They're the two like gamers of the Red Letter Media guys. The rest of them are all like mostly just movies.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so two of them have their show Previously Recorded, and in it, one of the episodes they came out with recently was about Mega Man clones, or they called a not Mega Man games, because they're like these both have blue robots. They're fighting 8 robot masters, but they're not Mega Man, and they are both like action platformers where you fight a boss and steal its power, but they're not Mega Man games. So they talked about Mighty Number 9, and I pretty much like they basically summed up kind of what I'd already described about it. They gave controls A+, bosses they gave like A minus B plus to, level design F.
Yep.
And I don't remember what the level design was an F, and I think it was the art and stuff was also an F, because it looks really bad. And they said they did concede that like that that's really not the most important thing, but they ultimately the average is around to a C.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about where the game is. It's kind of a C, which is like it's too bad, because a lot of the Mega Man games are like solid A's or A pluses in terms of game design. But this one, it sort of fails on one of the most important aspects, and that's level design.
Yeah.
If you have a platformer and you just have really bad level design, it's not good. I especially agree with their boss battles being B plus, because some of the boss battles are amazing. There's one against a sniper guy that's really not good because of how easy it is. Really just not well designed at all. His level was actually an interesting concept though, so that was the one saving grace. Even though ultimately level design is pretty much an F, and there are shining moments in some of the levels, but overall it's just uninspired. And the final boss of the game is garbage. Really, just I hated it. I hated every second I was fighting it. The patterns aren't necessarily hard to follow, but like it takes away so much damage, so much of your life when it connects, and it's sort of a battle of attrition, because you can't hurt it all the time too.
Yeah.
So it takes forever for you to even whittle it down. So you're getting hurt, and it's a 2-stage boss fight, and there's no healing in between. So it becomes a slog.
Yeah, that sounds a little rough.
It becomes a slog and not fun. And the thing is, it's like a lot of like Mega Man X, for example, you could carry up to 4 energy tanks. In this game, if you die, you don't retain your energy tanks, or they call it Zell recovery. So because you don't retain that in between lives, it's all up to the randomization in what the little robot guy gives to you right before you face the final boss.
Yeah.
And sometimes he doesn't give you Zell recovery, and sometimes he doesn't appear at all. So it's like it gets really frustrating when you're just like I need a recovery item here. It'd be really nice to have a recovery item here, but it didn't. So it's sad because we're probably not ever going to see another one again, but I'd really like to. The control is just, the dash mechanic and everything is just, a lot of that stuff is so fun and really fun to play around with, and it just makes me wish that the whole of the game was just better designed, because it's a great mechanic and a great concept. So but really, I've gone on long enough. I mean, we talked about Pokemon Go for a bit of it, so
yeah, we talked.
Chris,
yeah, it's like an hour
Chris,
for your week.
Yeah, pretty much. But Chris, what have you been doing? Obviously Pokemon Go, but what else have you been up to?
Yeah, I played a lot of Pokemon Go. I've been playing Overwatch still. I played a lot of Overwatch. Actually, it's been really hot the past few days.
It has. It's been crazy hot.
So on on Friday, I actually something happened to me on Friday, and I just got like sick,
Oh,
and I
like
like
dehydrated or?
I don't know what it was. I went out and walked my dog at like normal. Everything was fine. It was just really hot. I came back and I like couldn't breathe right. So I went up into my room and I turned on the air conditioning and kind of like, and when everything cooled down, I felt all right. And I was like,
Hmm.
that was weird. So I left my room to go get some water just in case. And the moment I walked out into the warm air, I just couldn't breathe again. So I got my water and I just stayed in my room for pretty much the entirety of Friday from like 11:30 to 7. I was in my room. And I just played
Yeah.
Overwatch the whole time. um,
That's nice.
yeah.
That sounds awful though.
Yeah, it was very weird. I didn't really understand what it was, and I still don't know what it happened. Um, but hopefully I feel fine now, and I was able to go out and play like bike around, play Pokemon Go last night. So it didn't last beyond like Saturday at noon. I spent most of Saturday working, and I felt all right. I was just a little tired from a didn't sleep too well, but
Yeah. Yesterday was gorgeous up here. I don't know what it was like down
it
there.
was pretty muggy until about 3 o'clock, and then it started to cool down. It was supposed to actually there were supposed to actually be thunderstorms today, but it's currently like 87 and sunny. So,
Oh, it's in the upper 70s here, and there were like three thunderstorms that hit last night.
mhm.
One, I was like, oh no, I left my car windows down and everything inside got soaked.
Oh no.
And then like I woke up a couple times in the night and it was pouring two separate times. So it was like, oh wow,
Hmm.
I didn't even know about it. Like, cause yesterday was fine up here. It was just super nice. Oh yeah, I actually sent a friend of mine's going into the Navy, so I set off some fireworks last night, which was fun.
Yeah, sounds fun. And good luck
Yeah,
to him in the Navy too.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, so
Yeah, it has been just beastly
yeah,
hot. So
Friday I was in my room. It's been like the week of Overwatch for me. I suppose I could talk about Overwatch a little bit more because
yeah, go into it a
there's
little
still
bit.
more relevant news. Last week I had some gripes about console support. They were furthered and intensified this week when Blizzard announced the new character that there's a new character that's going to be playable on PC starting sometime this week. I think the 21st is when she unlocks for PC. Um, no word on when she's coming to console. Um,
Hmm.
there's also a ton of character changes in terms of buffs and nerfs. No word on when those are coming to console. And in fact, the one character nerf that was confirmed to be coming to console hasn't showed up yet. It's been like over a month. Um, very, it's just very frustrating. Um, I'm very, I'm very disappointed as a consumer that I haven't been communicated to, especially when I see other people who paid less for the game are getting more support than me. It's
Yeah,
it's
it's.
intensely disappointing. Um,
I think that's really bad that
mhm.
they've sort of screwed over the PS4 people.
Yeah, and I'd love to be able to play this new character. Should I talk about all of the new character stuff now, or you want me to do that in news, our news segment?
Um, I mean, did it if it affected your week? I guess we can go into it now.
Yeah,
Might as well.
it didn't really like the what the new character does. So the new character, her name is Anna. Her name Anna Ferris or Anna Amari. I don't know why I said Ferris because she's Ferris's mother. So an existing character's mother, who is been part of the lore, is now a playable character. She's a support class, a healer, but she heals with kind of like sniper darts, like a dart gun. So she kind of is. She's like a mid-range sniper. So she has a rifle that she fires darts from, and so she can fire from the hip, and those darts come out as projectiles, which means that they're physical objects in the game space moving through that space. Um, and then there are different properties that other like they have on other characters based on like hitboxes and stuff because it has its own hitbox when it's a projectile, so
Mm-hmm.
it the way you can aim is different. Or you can take her rifle and you can scope in like a sniper rifle, and then the weapon becomes hit scan, which means the game draws a straight line from the crosshair out from the crosshair forward, and the moment it registers that you've clicked to fire, anything that's in that line of the crosshair will be have the effect applied to it, and that kind of changes aiming and also how other characters interact with the the fire of the weapon. So the way that she works is she fires these healing darts that heal 75 health, like in like a rapid crawl. So it's not instantly the health shows up. It's like a
Oh, okay,
reverse.
okay.
It's like a reverse poison effect almost. So it will crawl up very quickly. So she shoots her teammate plus 75 health, and it kind of like rolls up, and then this works either from the hip or scoped up. Obviously, scoped has further range, better accuracy at range. Or if you hit enemies with these darts, it's a 80 damage poison crawl. So it doesn't do any impact damage, so it can't register as a headshot, but it will uh, roll down 80 points of poison damage. So a crawl of health loss for the enemy, um, which is kind of a cool thing. She's also got her two abilities, which are she has a grenade that she throws, and when it hits the ground, it does an instant 100 point heal, and it boosts the healing rate of anybody it gets applied to. So if you're being healed by another character, you'll heal faster if you
Mm.
get hit by this grenade, in addition to gaining back 100 points of health. Or she can use it on an enemy and it knocks down 100 points of health, and it like completely removes anybody's ability to heal that other person. So like they couldn't get healed by one of their support characters, they couldn't walk over a health pack and get healed. They couldn't go back into spawn and get their health back, so it's minus 100 and then you can't get healed. I think it's for like, I want to say it's like 5 seconds. I don't know the actual number. And then her other ability is she has a sleep dart. So she shoots a little dart, and if it hits you, you fall asleep for 5 seconds. And you just lay there on the floor, and you can't move or attack. But if anybody attacks you, you can get up instantly. Like it snaps the sleep status, and you just get up and you can attack again.
Okay, okay.
So
I get it.
the darts are pretty good for shutting down ultimate moves. So and you don't have to be very, you have to be about mid range to use it. You fire from the hip, so whatever you could hit with a hip shot with your rifle, you can probably hit with the dart. So there's video of her in the reveal trailer. It shows her, one of the characters is about to use his ult. She spins around and shoots him, and he falls over. Just loses all of his ultimate charge, and doesn't get off his move. So it's kind of, that's a pretty cool. There aren't a whole lot of shutdown moves. You kind of just have to kill someone in order to shut them down. Um, and there's a category for play of the game, which is like the best, quote unquote, best play of the game. Usually it's just whoever does the most amount of damage in 10 seconds. Um, there's a category of play of the game for shutdown, which is killing someone to stop their ultimate move from coming out. So now there's a dedicated move for shutting down the opponent. And then her Anna's ultimate ability is Nano Boost, which is like this little a little dark charge thing, and it basically just makes your teammates glow with like blue electricity. They get their movement speed increases, their damage output increases. They get some shields applied to them so they can take more damage. And shields in this game regenerate. So if you take damage to your shields and then stop taking damage, the shields will grow back to full on their own. You don't need to be
Okay.
healed. Oh, she doesn't have any movement abilities though, so she kind of just runs around like a normal soldier. She can't like jump extra high, and she can't really scale walls or anything, or she doesn't have a jump pack or any of the other movement mechanics in the game. But her kit is really interesting for the competitive game. She's really good to kind of float around in like the back middle, um, and just kind of manage. She can manage everybody's health. She needs to be paired with somebody who can output more healing. Like Mercy is probably the best combination healer for fair. Just like dedicated healer, puts out huge
Yeah.
amounts of healing because her rifle is you have to be pretty accurate in order to use it. And her lack of mobility kind of makes her difficult to like if she gets stuck, she's stuck, you know. Unless if her sleep dart isn't ready and she doesn't have her grenade, she's absolutely stuck. If she gets cornered, but she looks really cool, and I would love to have had a little bit of practice, but I'm not allowed because I play on the PS4. Um,
Yeah, I will never understand that.
mm-hmm.
Like why they don't support both? Because like most companies, even if I mean I guess it does. I mean I guess Blizzard is just specifically a PC company for the most part, but like most companies usually work really hard to try to update all of the all of the different versions
And here's the
when they
thing.
can.
So I've brought up points sort of like this. Like companies do try and make it work on both things. They don't straight up abandon, one. If it's well, not usually. So I bring up stuff about how I feel like I'm being treated as a second class, like a second class consumer is what I feel like I'm being treated as. I'm not getting the kind of support I want, and the responses I'm getting are like, "This is what it feels like to be a PC player with literally everything else," and I'm like, but I'm not saying that it's fine when it happens to the PC. I'm saying it's wrong no matter who it happens to, and I do
Yeah,
care that like think about Ubisoft's PC releases, how they're always all screwed up and they get always get delayed and by an extra month and all this kind of stuff. I'm not saying that that's okay because it's happening to PC. It's wrong no matter who it's happening to, whichever direction, whichever platform it's on, whatever company it is. It's wrong to have discrepancy in the way that you treat people who are paying for your product. And in
yeah,
this case,
I
in
agree
this
with that.
case, it is happening to me, so I'm a little more engaged with it. But that doesn't make it right on any other. It doesn't make it right on other fronts, you know.
Yeah,
So, yeah, included in this. So the new hero Anna was available to practice with in what was called the PTR Public Test Region, which was like a special download that PC players could get, and it basically was just the game with the prospective changes put out as kind of like a beta test for this major patch that they're going to do. And included in the PTR were some other character buffs and nerfs. Some characters, after a few rounds of competitive play and like professional competitions, Blizzard took a look at some of their characters and tried to tweak some stuff that has been there since release, and also they kind of changed one other thing about one character that they've already tried to balance. So McCree, the cowboy guy who has a little revolver, he was already nerfed. One of his moves, Fan the Hammer, his secondary fire, was already nerfed. And they changed something about his damage fall off, which is how much damage his shots do the further away from him they get. He included in the Fan the Hammer nerf was a damage fall off increase. So the further away you got from him, the less damage he would do with all of his fire abilities. They're now undoing that damage fall off, so he doesn't have the same sort of damage fall off as before. He can now fire about 40 meters, which is kind of the range of a sniper before any serious fall off, which is what he was like before his nerf patch, bringing him back to his Fan the Hammer ability is still the damage on that was still decreased, but now his damage fall off with his normal shots are gone, which is basically bringing him back to the way he was before, just with less damage on his secondary fire. One hero that was picked 0 times in all professional competitions across the board was Zenyatta, who is a support character. He's a robot guy who floats around with these like these large metal balls necklace thing, and he shoots them at people. And his healing works. He has his two abilities are he has a healing orb and a damage boost orb. So he can throw the healing orb on his teammates, and it will give them back health as long as he maintains line of sight. And he has another orb, the
Mm.
damage boost orb, he can throw at enemies, and it will attach to the enemy as long as he has line of sight, and it will make everybody do like double damage to them, essentially. Whatever shot they take twice as much damage. But there were number of things about him that made him not very sustainable. His movement speed was so slow, very slow. Um,
Mm.
he has one of the smallest health pools in the game. He has 25 health and 125 shields. Um, so his shields do regenerate on their own if he's not taking damage, but he he's the only character that could be reliably one shot killed on the body by somebody else. So if he took a body shot, he would die in one hit from Widowmaker before her damage was nerfed, along with McCree's Fan the Hammer. Um,
Mm.
and so as a character for his role, he wasn't a very viable pick, but he has an immense amount of damage output. Um, but picking him wasn't really worth it because you'd be sacrificing a slot for somebody that could do more healing and be a little more sustainable. So what Blizzard have done with him is they have given him some extra shielding, effectively increasing his health pool up to 250 instead of 200 maximum. Um, and they've also increased his movement speed when he uses his ultimate ability, which is kind of he becomes invincible and he projects a big area of effect healing zone, and he just kind of like floated around like that. They've now increased his movement speed with that, so he can move faster while he's using his ultimate, and they've changed his healing and damage boost abilities. Um, they were projectiles, so they had travel time as they when he used them. It was like a travel time of 30.
Mm-hmm.
They've now increased that travel time to 120. So when he throws them, they get to their target 3 times as fast. So he's basically just like teleporting them onto people, which will make him able to apply healing much more quickly. This is a problem I have when I play with Zenyatta is I'll see somebody that needs healing, I'll get my line of sight and I'll throw it, and as the ball is traveling there, the person dies, and it says Harmony Orb returned. And I was like, shoot, I'm sorry, and I have to turn around and throw it again, and I'm like, the person died. Harmony Orb returned. Um, and there are other times where like I'll see an enemy and I'll get the little thing that can be like, you can throw your Discord Orb, the damage boost orb. So I'll throw it, and the person will move behind a wall, and it will attach, and then I'll have lost line of sight, and then the orb will just come back, and it won't matter anymore. So now, the moment you see somebody, basically, you can apply your orbs to them, which is hopefully is going to make him more viable because his using him well is a blast. If you can get in a groove with with aiming your shots, your primary fire, you can Discord orb someone, and then 1, 2, 3 headshots, they're dead. It's it's a load of fun. Discord orb headshot somebody with 200 health, they're dead. You can kill tanks in 4 or 5 shots, and his secondary fire is a big charge shot. And if you charge that thing up, you can if you get a Discord orb on someone, you charge that up. It's just basically you're just like Kamehamehaing them to death instantly. It's so fun. Every time I play
That's awesome.
every time I play Zenyatta, I end up on fire, which is just like it indicates how well you're performing required tasks in the game mode. I always end up on fire with Zenyatta just because I'm just throwing my orbs and I'm shooting as much as I can. Every time I see someone, Discord orb, shoot, shoot, shoot as much as I can. Hang around the payload, use your ultimate, get your heal on people. He's a blast to play, but he just has not been viable as a pick if you want to seriously compete, because he just wasn't sustainable enough. So those changes are going to be really exciting. Another change, Diva, who is the girl with the big mech suit.
Oh yeah.
She has got a couple of changes that are going to alter the way people play her. She has an ability called Defense Matrix, which projects a kind of like a force field out in front of her. It covers kind of the front of her mech, so she can still take damage from the sides or behind. Um, but the way that it used to be was you would press you would press the ability button, and the thing would project out in front of you, and you'd sit there with it it lasts for 4 seconds, and any damage that comes into it gets reflected, and then it goes away, and then you now have to wait 10 seconds for the ability to cool down before you can use it again. What they've done with that now is they've changed it to a toggle. So it no longer has a cooldown. You're not locked into it when you use it. It's now her secondary fire button, which formerly had no had no binding to it. It was an empty key slot. Now that controls a toggle for her defense matrix. So you can just you press the secondary fire button, and the matrix will pop up, and it's now on a 4-second time meter. So you can hold it, and the meter will count down until it hits 0, and then you let go of the thing, and it recharges. It takes 10 seconds to fully recharge, just like the cooldown, and then you can use it again. But every time you take your finger off the button, it will turn off, and the recharge will start. So now you can basically just run around, and you can be shooting and shooting and shooting, and then you see somebody, and you just pop it up real quick, take the damage, pop it off, and you keep shooting again. You don't have to waste it, you know. Before, when you would be locked into it, if you shot, it would turn off, and then you have to wait 10 seconds for the cooldown, and you'd just be without your defense matrix. Now you can just turn it on and off real quick every time you need to block some damage. I think that's a cool change. People are getting really excited about it and saying that's a buff, but I don't really think it's a buff. It's just a different way to use that mechanic. What is a buff to her is her ultimate ability, which is a self-destruct on her mech. She kind of like shoots, she jumps out of her mech, and the mech explodes after 4 seconds. They've now changed that to 3 seconds instead of 4.
Oh, it's much quicker now. Then.
Yeah.
I mean, like you would be like, oh, it's only 1 second, but that's like make or break in games like this.
Yeah, so a really common thing to do is she has her other ability, in addition to the defense matrix, is she has rockets on the back of her mech, and she can like boost around and fly around like a ship. You fire your rockets, and then you activate your ultimate, and you slip out of the mech, but it keeps flying forward, and then it will stop and explode. With the 4-second timer, that's just enough time for somebody to run away and get behind cover so that they don't get killed by the explosion. Now, with the 1 second off, that's like the difference between being behind the rock and turning right to run behind a rock, you know? The area of effect on her thing is huge, and it does some absurd, like, I want to say 800 damage, like, just massive, massive amount of damage.
Sweet.
And the other change that they've made is she no longer... Beforehand, if you used it and didn't get out of the way, you would get killed by your own explosion. Now, you no longer get killed by your explosion. If you use your ultimate, you can stand next to it and it will blow up and you won't take any damage from your self-destruct. And the same way that your teammates never take damage from your self-destruct. There's no friendly fire in this game, more or less. You can only damage yourself. Enemies can kill you, and you could kill yourself with, like, an explosion, or like Diva's ultimate. Now Diva is no longer in danger from her own ultimate. So now this is what the buff is she can now unload her, like, get out of her mech with her ultimate chart, like counting down 3, 2, 1, 0 explosion, and she can like do things like shoot people who are trying to run away, contest a control point, rather than having to drop it in there and then run off of the point so you don't get killed and then run back on. She can now stay in there and take control of the point. This is what the buff is to her. And from what I've heard in the PTR, it's a really good change, and it makes her a lot more dangerous as a character. Beforehand, she was another...
Yeah, it sounds
She was another character that didn't get picked a lot, and a lot of times people who picked Diva were told to switch because she wasn't a very good character. Now people are having a lot of trouble playing against her. People are figuring out her defense matrix system is actually a lot better than it used to be. the change that I had been hoping for, because Diva's my second most played character. The change that I had been hoping for was something with her movement speed. When she uses her primary fire, she basically stands still. You can't move while you're shooting. You can aim and like look left and right, but you can't physically walk around very well. It's very very slow. Um, a change with that, I think, would make her a lot more survivable than just altering the way their defense matrix works. But again, I haven't been able to. I'm not allowed to try it. I can't use the public test region on my PS4, so I don't know what this change is actually going to do. But I'm glad that there was a change made because she is one of my favorite characters to use, and she wasn't a very good pick beforehand. There are a couple more that I can do quickly. Mercy, the dedicated healer, her her damage boost ability, where she just shoots a blue beam at her teammate and it makes their attack stronger, got increased to from 30% increase to 50% increase of damage boosting. Blizzard has since said that they're going to knock it back down to 30. And then the other big change was ultimate abilities for the heroes charged are now going to get charged by self-healing. So there are a ton of characters with the ability to heal themselves. Most of the support characters, I know, Lucio can heal himself, Mercy can heal herself, Soldier 76, Roadhogs, Reaper, May, and there was one more. I forget who it was. There are a bunch of characters with the ability to heal themselves. Now they will gain charge on their ultimate by applying healing to themselves, but their ultimate charge will overall take longer. So I think, whereas it might take, I don't know, 2,000 points of healing to get your ultimate charged beforehand, now it will take 3,500, something like that, just to make it so that people aren't just spamming self-heal every time they take a little bit of damage so they can get their ultimate faster, or people aren't damaging themselves and then healing to get their ultimate faster. I think that's an interesting change. Most of those characters I listed off with the self-healing ability got an increase to their charge time, so it would take longer, except for May. For some reason, May didn't have any change to her ultimate charge, even though she is able to heal herself. So more people might start picking May just for the sake of having more chances to use an ultimate ability during a match. That I think wraps it up for the character nerfs and buffs. There's also been some data mined out that hints at some new maps. I think people said there were 4 new maps, which will be great because there's only 12, and I'm getting pretty bored. I think I played a match. I played a bit today, and I got put in 6 straight matches on one map. I'm getting a little bit bored of the map selection that they have currently, so hearing there will be new maps is pretty exciting for me. And they've also mined out some new voice lines that pertain to different sorts of holidays. So there are Christmas-specific voice lines, Halloween-specific voice lines, which makes me think there's going to be events for those holidays and also new skins for those holidays. So you'll be able to get Reinhardt in a big Santa outfit or something, or like Roadhog in a Santa outfit, which I think would be hilarious. That's all
cool.
Coming out of the public test region, and I think that's all going to be implemented into the main game on July 21st, if I remember correctly. If you're on PC, PS4 players, there's no ETA for that yet, and still no idea when the Torbjorn nerf that we were promised a month and a half ago is coming, even though they said it would come out in mid-July. And we're now hitting the end of July, and there's nothing yet. That's pretty much everything that's happened with Overwatch that's kind of news-ish, I guess, and that kind of sums up my Overwatch week. Oh, I started streaming.
Yeah, I actually watched your stream a little bit ago. That was it was a lot of fun. And Dubs was there as
Yeah,
well.
I
So
figured
that
out how
was
to stream from my PS4 directly to Twitch, so maybe in the video description of this, I can have Alec put a link to my Twitch account so that I can you can come and watch,
yeah,
follow me and come watch streams if you want. Watch me suck at
yeah.
Overwatch. Also, I might be streaming other games too because I have a good amount of PS4 games, and I actually played another PS4 game this week that I've had and been meaning to get to for a while. I have the Last of Us remastered for PS4. I I booted that up and played a good hour and a half. I just went and saw Robert, so I finished the tutorial, quote unquote. Um, Took me an hour and a half because I'm trying to do as much stealth as possible, so there's a lot of sitting and waiting and looking at where the enemy AI has them walk around so that I don't get caught. Um,
Mm.
I followed this game after it came out, and I followed news about it, and I watched a lot of playthroughs, and as soon as I heard that it was on PS4, I picked it up, and I just have been letting it sit. Um, and I actually was catching up on my own YouTube um, guys, and I remembered that they played this. I watched the Super Best Friends. I watched them all the time. I remembered they played this, and I went back and I was like, that was a really good playthrough. I'm going to go watch that again. And I watched 2 episodes, and I was like, I need to put this down and go play this game for myself. Like, I've never
Yeah.
played it. I've never played it all the way through. I've watched this playthrough, though. Um, what a what a fantastic way to set up the scenario. Just so good. It's very slow, but it sets the tone like perfectly. Um,
Mm.
everything is everything is awful. Is basically the
Yeah.
tone. You get introduced to the characters. They give you a good reason to empathize with them. They give you a good reason to care about how they're doing and what they're doing. Um, and I'm looking forward to experiencing this game again because there's large segments of it that I don't remember. I remember this first part because you always remember the start, you always remember the end, but it's hard to remember what happens in the middle most of the time. So I'm looking.
Yeah. Sometimes beat by beat stuff in the middle can you can forget about that.
I'm really looking forward to getting all that beat by beat stuff in the middle. And the game starts off in Boston, by the way.
Yeah.
It starts
Absolutely.
off kind of the first mission you get, first like real mission as part of the game is you have to escort Ellie to the Capitol building, and there's this one part where you walk up a little hill, some rubble, and you look out, and Tess, your friend, goes, there it is, the Capitol building, and you get a little prompt, and you press the prompt, and Joel turns and looks, and there's the big golden dome, and I'm like, yep,
Yeah.
I'm in Boston.
Yeah. It really is. They do a good job recreating the city in that game.
Yeah,
Um.
and I remember there is one part where you get to go down, you have to go and take you have to walk through the Orange Line, walk down the Orange Line tracks to get between two different areas. I
Oh
remember
yeah.
that. I remember in the playthrough they walked by there's a little sign that says like to exit the street with the T on it, and I was like, oh, I know what that is. I got really excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I'm looking forward to playing that some more. Um, I I'll probably stream some of
Yeah.
that
It's
later
a
tonight.
great game. Just such a
hmm
great
I
game,
I
though.
really I don't know what came over me, but I just really wanted to play it.
Mm.
As soon as I was watching Super Best Friends play the story mode of Street Fighter V, and I just went like, I remember they played Last of Us. I should go watch that. Like I don't know where that
Yeah.
connection
It just
I
came
don't know
over you
where
all
that
of a sudden, I
connection came
guess.
from. Um,
That's funny.
but
That's
yeah,
funny.
so now I'm doing that. That's kind of what I've been doing for gaming. Dark Souls has kind of taken a back seat for the time being. I'll get
Yeah.
back to it eventually, but I just have this.
Yeah, that's Demon Souls for
Hmm.
me also.
It's still
Same
in my
thing.
Xbox, and as long as it's in there, I could always just turn it on. So once it comes out of the Xbox, then it's kind of a little iffier, but it's gonna stay in there, and I'll get
Hmm.
to it. I'll get to it at some point again. In terms of anime, I watched more Dead Man Wonderland from the
Nice.
Backlog Busters challenge. A lot of the questions I had about like who is Shiro, what is going on, like those sorts of things. Um, they're revealing a lot more information, and they straight up answered some of them. But they're revealing a lot more information about certain characters, and I'm beginning to be able to piece together my own answers to my own questions. Just based on
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm taking educated guesses, and I think I kind of have a grasp on it now. I just watched episode 5, so I watched 2 more episodes. I was introduced to the Dead Man games that they have. Um,
Yeah, you mean how they are executing people in the games?
yeah,
And yeah, it's
and the
like
results of losing. I like
yes.
I felt sick. Like
Yeah.
I had to like look away. I was like, oh, like
Yeah, it's
I
it
couldn't
yeah.
watch it. I couldn't
It's pretty
watch it.
brutal.
I can't deal with that kind of stuff, man. I can't. Like I watched like um I watched when I watched TV a lot. I loved watching forensic like forensics shows. Like I love watching Bones and Mentalist and Psych and shows that show like dead, like dead bodies
Mm.
and bones especially. It's pretty gross stuff. But like I would eat dinner and watch um, what's her name? I forget the actress's name. I'd watch
I
Bones.
can't remember her name either. Yeah.
I'd watch Bones like drop maggots onto a body so that she can clean the bones off. And I'd just be like, eating my chicken breast, no problem. The moment the first time I saw Grey's Anatomy and there was like a live person in surgery with like open heart surgery and like something went wrong and there was blood, I just like I felt queasy and I had to leave the room. I can't deal with living people getting like
Cut open.
mutilated. Yeah, I can't deal with like people alive. Like the idea of people alive feeling that kind of pain.
So how did you deal with Attack on Titan?
I didn't deal with it very well on the
Yeah, I
inside.
guess not.
Yeah, on the inside, I was like, oh, I didn't feel very good. But
Yeah.
it's interesting because I'm also reading Berserk, and there's a lot of that in there.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, those people they die pretty soon after that. I think it's that the person gets like hit in the head, but then they're dead, and so they don't feel that they're like not feeling the pain anymore. They're just dead, and
Right.
I'm like, but it's somebody getting their eyeball ripped out and then continuing to live on after that. Like I can't handle that for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty rough. That
It's
happens in Dead Man Wonderland?
yeah,
Is that? Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Do you remember?
I don't remember that specifically, no.
Yeah,
I do remember some pretty horrific stuff happening in that show, though.
yeah. I can't like if that keeps happening, it's going to be a rough watch. But
Yeah.
I'll get through it because I do
It,
think the concept's pretty strong.
yeah, I see. To me, what was interesting about the concept is that that's like actually happening to the people in like some of these games and stuff. But like everybody in the audience is just like, oh, it's just it's just special effects,
Yeah,
stuff. And it's like no, those people are actually like getting brutally murdered
yeah.
in front of you. But I found that really interesting because it is. It's like they're putting on a show, this carnival for people,
Hmm.
but nope,
Nope.
it's not fun and
So
games for them.
yeah. Oh, that was so gross. Um, yeah. So I watched more Dead Man. Um, and then I read. Oh, I read 39 more chapters of Berserk in
Wow.
like just last night. Like I just sat down. I was on chapter 12. The chapters reset after chapter 16. So it goes 1 through 16 and then it goes back to 1 again and then up to 343 or however many have been published now.
343 Guilty Spark.
Yeah. So, um, it is that's probably one of the best manga I've ever read.
Wow.
And I haven't read a lot of manga. I've read Full Metal Alchemist and JoJo and Berserk, and that's kind of my manga knowledge that I've like sat down and read for real.
Mm.
Berserk is a really well crafted story. The narrative is so strong. It has a great mixture of action. There are a lot of action panels, so you can breeze through it and just absorb what's there. I'm really one of my like skills, I guess, is I can take in visual information very quickly. Um, So reading a manga with action panels, if it's just a page of action panels, I I just literally just scroll and I see the whole thing and I can retain that and then I just go to the next page. When there's
Mm.
words,
So you absorb it pretty quickly.
yeah, when there's
Yeah.
like dialogue, I have to take a little bit more time to read and then associate the image and then I usually read image, read again, image, read a third time and then next panel, just so I can get that solidified so I can understand and remember that part of the story to continue on and have the continuity as a reader. I can do plain images like no problem instantly. So there's a
Mm.
lot of action panels, just full 2-page spreads of like army warfare that I can just whoop, just like scan right across, and I have that whole scene in my head. Next page. Um, so that kind of contributed to my ability to do all those chapters in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
There's a good balance of action. There's a lot of he does character interaction really well, and his characters are pretty well written. I don't have a lot of prior knowledge as to what the is going to happen and like what happens to each character, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm very interested in Griffith as a character. I think he's really fascinating. But one of my prior knowledge things is that Griffith is not a cool dude. But I'm like, and so
Oh,
I'm
okay.
reading now, and I'm like, but he seems like such a cool dude. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of like I want him to win. I want him to achieve his dreams. Like,
So
he seems like a good guy, and like obviously he's not perfect. You know,
yeah,
he's
right.
got flaws, and there's some pretty serious flaws. Like, I'll say that without spoiling anything. But I
Yeah.
don't know why why people vehemently hates him, or even in one of the first in one of the first chapters. This isn't really a spoiler. I think this happens in like chapter 7 or so. Guts. It's kind of like the timeline's weird. So you get a bunch of chapters with Guts as grown up and he's traveling on his own, and then it flashes back to Guts as a baby, and then between chapter I think 10 and 16 is Guts's childhood, and then he meets Griffith, and then the numbers restart, and then that's the story of Berserk. You know, from
Mm.
that
Mm-hmm.
new chapter, the second chapter 1 through the end is the story of Berserk. Um, I think in chapter 7, Guts runs into Griffith and hates Griffith, and I want to know how that happens because right now they're friends. Like they've been friends for a little while now. I'm on chapter. Oh, I forget the number because of the chapter reset. But
Mm.
as of their last interaction, like they were still kind of on good terms for a while. Um, and I don't think their last interaction it wasn't positive, but it wouldn't cause Guts to behave that way to him. So there's a lot of story still to come. Obviously, it's a very long manga, but I think in the timeline of that earlier chapters before the flashback, um, that kind of happened. That would be coming up before the end of the manga, you know. So
Yeah.
I'll reach that point eventually, and I want to know how it gets there. Guts is pretty interesting as a character too. Casca is really interesting. and I kind of like, hmm, it's not like, you know how sometimes when you read you get really attached to characters, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I feel very attached to Casca, and I want things to go well for her. You know, like watching, I don't know, like I don't know how to word this correctly. It's a weird feeling. I want things to go well for her, and there is a moment in the last chapter I read where things are
You
going well for her, and that made me really happy. And that's the other.
you want to see them
I
succeed
want to
in
see
a sense, right?
there are things that she wants, and I want her to get them, and I'm sad that she can't have some of them, but I still want her to find what she desires in some other way. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
okay, I get you. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I want she had a long monologue in one chapter about why she is the way she is and what she wants and why she's doing what she's doing. And
Hmm.
after that I was kind of like, I'm rooting for you, Casca. Like, I'm really rooting for you. I want you to achieve what it is you want in life. But there are some circumstances that would prevent her from getting exactly what she wants, but I still want her to get get something fulfilling in that same vein, even if it's not her target. You know,
Right. Yeah.
aiming for the stars, you still end up in space. You know what I mean? Or shoot for the sun,
Yeah.
you
Right.
still end up among the stars, like that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. For a sec there, I was like, that's saying I don't know,
yeah.
but yeah,
Um,
I get it.
so, and yeah, the other thing, something happened in the last chapter I read that made me really happy. Um, the kind of external perception of Berserk is that it's extremely grimdark, you know? Like, it's all dreary and depressing and violent and unhappiness and, you know, kind of that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff in there that made me feel good. And there are moments where I laughed. Like, the humor all the humor is interesting because it's still very dark humor. Like, there's something that made me laugh was there was one enemy that Guts is fighting, and he's being all kind of like, "Oh, I'm a big tough guy. Look at my sick move that I'm gonna do," and then Guts just like smacks him in the face with his sword, and like the way it was timed in the panels, like that made me laugh. But it was still Guts like cutting a dude's face in half. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like humor. It was like grimdark humor. So it's kind of says something to the tone that this series sets, that the funny thing is still murder. You, you know, um,
Yeah. Really.
but
Yeah.
there is a lot of stuff in the dialogue and the in some of the internal narration that makes you feel inside like positive things, like good things, you know? Especially this last chapter I read that made me feel good for Casca. Like, that's happening even though, like, situationally as a whole, they're in a pretty bad spot, but there's still good in it. You know what I mean? Like, the series as a whole is very dark, but there's still, like, joy that can be found in small parts. Um, and I think that speaks well to the creator's ability to have layers to the story that he's telling. So he has the overall tone that he has, but then within there, he's able to show that there's still, um, it's still like relatable. Like, there's still human moments in it, even though it's kind of this impersonal. It's war is what this whole thing is about. There's always war, always fighting, and it. There's a danger of it just becoming a war manga,
Yeah. Right.
but Miura manages to maintain the humanness of all the characters in amongst being fighters. Um, and that, I think, is where the joy comes from, is still being able to see that these are just people, and they have to do all these things to survive, and that doesn't and that like that affects them, and it affects how they behave with one another. It's still, it feels like it feels real. I won't use that word very loosely. It feels like
Yeah.
these are real. Like this is a story that anybody could.
They feel like three-dimensional characters. In other words.
Yeah, they feel like three-dimensional characters.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping me summarize my rambling.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep reading that.
Yeah, I can tell. I mean, just by how much you're gushing about it, I can tell that you really, really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because, like,
And
I mean, that's the thing. Whenever we, that's like both of us. You can tell whenever we like stuff because we just cannot shut up about it.
cannot shut up about it.
I love that, honestly, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
recommend-
No, like, honestly, like, you're getting me kind of intrigued. And
I
interested
recommend
in it.
that you read it. I'm gonna send you a link to the song that made me want to read it. Like finally, just the song that made me go, "All right, I need to read this." Like, it's this. Did I tell you about that band Tanuki Suit? Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They have a song specifically about Berserk, and the first time I heard it, I listened to it, and like, I was like, huh. I need to listen to that again. I listened to it again, and it like choked me up listening to this song and thinking about like having this kind of vague idea of what Berserk is, and then hearing this song and comparing those two things, it made me emotional. And I finally went, you know what? I actually need to see what's up here. I need to see what this is about. So I'll send you that song when we're done recording. You can listen to it. Listen to it a few times and listen to the lyrics of it. And then that's what made me finally just be like, I need to read this.
Cool.
So I was going to say something else about Berserk, but I forget what it was. Oh yeah, there's also a good amount of a lot of the panels. It's the art style is really good, and the way everything is drawn is it seems very meticulous, like intentional in what he's trying to get across. Like he gets across the image that he wants.
Yeah.
And he does it really well. It is completely ambiguous as to where the creator was from. If I wasn't reading it right to left, top to bottom, I would think that it was a Western story.
Wow, really?
Very character designs, all of he does kind of like over ugly some people to make them look a little bit more Western, but all the characters are could pass as Western characters. They don't have very defining Asian features like the kind of like almond shaped heads or the two big eyes. They've all got square, like big square jaws, and very clearly like there's this one guy who shows up kind of in the later things. He looks like a straight up photo of Inigo Montoya from Princess Bride.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Just beard, like the suavest Spaniard man. Like, there's one character that's been introduced out of all the characters, all the different soldiers that they've fought, all the quote unquote top generals that they've fought. One character has said something that seems Japanese. Those like how sometimes characters when they attack they'll have like an overlong name for their attack.
Mm-hmm.
They just like throw words together that sound cool.
Unlimited
kind of
blade
thing.
works.
Yeah, something like that. I forget what it was, but I have. Hold on, I have the page, the image saved. I'll try and read this. The Blue Whale Ultra Heavy Armored Fierce Assault Annihilation Night Corps. That is
Wow.
the one speech bubble that sounds like it's Japanese.
Yeah.
And that showed up in, I don't even know what chapter. Chapter,
Is
I want to say,
later
after
on,
they reset, it was kind of chapter 30 something overall. So
wow.
subtract 16 to get back to the current to go past the flashback. So 32 minus 16. So chapter 16 after the flashback. That's a lot of chapters in for the first Japanese sounding thing. it's that's also is something that's really impressive to me is the way that he draws and the way that he writes it. It seems very Western.
Mm.
If you mirrored the whole thing, I would think that it was a like just I would think it was an anime or like a manga inspired Western piece. So that was kind of the last thing I wanted to say. And then obviously main character is a dude with a giant sword, and that's my thing. I love big strong dudes with giant swords. So
Big strong dudes with giant swords is it's. I mean, yeah,
his sword is so
very
big.
anime.
His sword is so big.
Yeah, there was a figure I saw of him,
And
it
it
was
only
crazy.
gets bigger. It gets bigger every time that the time passes. It starts with him as a child in his flashback. He's a child and he's using a regular like hand and a half sword, but it looks huge because he's a little like kid. And then now in the current thing, he's what like he's probably like almost 20, and he's got like a long sword plus a hand and a half sword length blade, and he just carries it in one hand. It's palm width, like huge sword, and he's just swinging it around with one hand. It's so huge, and it only like every time he grows, his sword gets bigger and wider, and so it's gonna be huge by the time he's like an adult. It's like an indicator of his power level. The bigger his sword is, the stronger he is, and the more powerful a fighter he is. It's hilarious. It's great. I'm gonna stop gushing about Berserk now. Again, disclaimer: if you are okay with mature content intended for mature people, adults, I recommend you read Berserk. If you're not okay with extremely mature content, refrain until you're okay with it. Um, it is a very mature subject matter, very mature subject matter intended for a mature audience. And if you don't think you would be comfortable reading something like that, um, I recommend that you stay away from it, just because you're not going to enjoy it. It's going to upset you, disturb you in some way. But if you're okay with those sorts of things, pick it up and read it. Find it somewhere. Just get your hands on it. Look through it. It is going to be worth your time. And trust me, you're going to invest a lot of time because it's very long, but it will be worth it. And I'll put a nice little bow on my Berserk talk for this week. And that kind of is all I really did this week. So I already talked about Pokemon Go, so I'm now current as of when we started recording.
Very nice. So, you want to move on to some news and then wrap it up? We don't really have tons of news to talk about this week. I guess we were able to sort of gush about our weeks a little bit more than indulge a little bit about those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a pretty slow news week. I don't remember seeing there weren't any games announced. There weren't really new animes announced because we're in the middle of summer season. But there has been a Funimation released their dub lineup. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, they've got a pretty nice list of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily all stuff I know super well, but
yeah, same here.
But it's cool because it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really impressive. Like the whole lineup.
Yeah, the amount. So I have their blog page up with the 9 shows, or not even 9. There's more. 16 shows. A lot more. I can't count. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15.
Yeah,
plus
it's a lot.
Some.
It's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. So one of them is Tales of Zestiria: The X.
You've played Tales games.
I have played Tales games.
Yeah, but you haven't played Zestiria though.
I have not played Zestiria. Zestiria was released for PS3 and PS4. The collector's edition though was only for PS4, and I kind of wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have the money at the time when it came out, and I feel it's probably still available, but I don't know. But in any case, Zestiria was sort of like a throwback game in a sense that it was like they really were trying to, go back to sort of storytelling and ideas that went back to near the beginning, sort of like thematic roots to the beginning of the series in Tales of Phantasia,
Mm-hmm.
which is the very first game in the series. The interesting thing about Tales is it's a lot like Final Fantasy in that most of the games do not really interact with each other at all, other than the occasional sequel. And the Tales of Symphonia is like a distant prequel to Tales of Phantasia. And then Tales of Symphonia has its own sequel that takes place like 3 years after Symphonia. So, other than that, and like there's some other stuff like there's a Tales of Destiny 2, and there's like a couple other things. Most of the games are totally independent of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Zestiria, I guess it was trying to be more like fantasy, like old school fantasy kind of ideas. I guess I'm not really too super sure about like it what exactly like they meant by like going back to thematic roots, but I think that might have had something to do with it because a lot of the newer ones have had a bit more like somewhat more of a futuristic aesthetic or more being like political
Mm-hmm.
ideas in the sense of them. Whereas Fantasia was a lot more just we got to save the world, and yeah, more just we got to save the world. There's like time travel and stuff in that one too, and it was cool. But a lot of the games in the series have been like Tales of the Abyss itself got an anime adaptation, like a full 26 episode series that basically just told the plot of the game. That came out like a few years after the game came out. There was Zestiria has also already gotten an anime. It was like a short. It was a film made for TV film that came out. I don't know how long it was. Like how big of a movie it was. I'm not totally sure, but I think that was like a prequel to the game. And Tales of Zestiria X, I'm not totally sure if it's it's unclear to me if it's an adaptation of the show, or I mean, it's an adaptation of the game, or if it's a totally new story, like if it's set after the story.
Kind of
I'm
like an OVA game.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm not totally sure. It's 13 episodes. Supposedly, the series is gonna be 13 episodes. So, Tales fits right at home with anime. It's very the aesthetic has always been very like anime-y. Like the art is always very very embraces an anime aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
The artist usually there's a few different artists, but Kosuke Fujishima is like the really well known artist behind Tales. He did Fantasia, Symphonia, Abyss, and a lot of the more popular ones like those. They also did Oh My Goddess, or Ah My Goddess, depending on how it's translated, which was like a pretty well known manga series back in the 80s, 80s and 90s. And I think it lasted, yeah, it lasted till 2014. So it went for a while.
Yeah, for real.
So yeah, he was the writer of that, but
Mm-hmm.
so but yeah, so that's getting a dub, which is cool. They're also dubbing a new D. Grayman series, D. Grayman Hollow.
Yeah, I know a little bit about D. Gray Man because I watched like the first 20-ish episodes of the first series. And then I kind of looked up okay, so how long does this run for? What kind of am I in for in terms of commitment? And it seemed very like what I found confused me. I remember it confusing me. Because there's like the manga story and the anime story kind of goes along with the manga, but not everything got adapted and the anime left off in a spot that the manga hadn't gotten to yet. And then there was like a time skip somewhere in there and something happened that was supposed to happen in the manga that didn't happen in the anime, and it was just weird, like something confusing like that. So I think D. Gray Man Hallow is just going to be a continuation of the manga story into the anime, something that didn't get adapted during the first series. I'm looking at like the small thumbnail that we have, and it just it looks like it's just going to be a continuation of the old anime. This is just from what I can see. It looks like it'll be a continuation of the old anime, continuing to adapt the manga from where it left off the last time. D. Gray Man is another show with a strong concept that I enjoyed watching. That I've kind of put it on my on hold list for the time being. I do want to finish it, but just I'd rather watch other stuff at the moment. So maybe I'll pick it back up once Hallow comes out or is finished, and then I can just burn through the entire thing. You know.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool for D. Gray Man fans, and of which I am one. So maybe I'll keep my eye on that now.
Yeah, I don't know too much about D. Gray Man, so that might be something I might look into at some point.
The opening is Abingdon Boys School.
Oh, sweet! I love that.
It's
Nice.
a pretty good opening. I have the song. I think we used it once for our radio intro.
Back in the day.
Mm-hmm. It's called Innocent Sorrow. Could look it up.
Oh, I think I've heard that. I know that song. It's good. Yeah. I mean, before that, I knew it. Obviously, I've heard it before because of the radio intro. But so some of the other stuff, Danganronpa.
Danganronpa. Son.
3, the end of Hope's Peak High School, Future Arc, and Despair Arc, and I don't really understand these.
I don't either. I know nothing about Danganronpa.
I knew Danganronpa has like the little teddy bear thing, and I know it's kind of somewhat similar to the Zero Escape games in that it's like people are like real life situation where people are going to be dying. Though I think in these they're stuck in a high school, so it's like high school setting. In Zero Escape, the characters range in age from being old to in high school.
Yeah.
Actually, there's children. There's in Virtuous Last Reward, there's like a 8-year-old, 10-year-old in it. So. And an old man. So.
Gary Old Man.
Gary, a what?
A Gary Old Man.
A Gary Old Man. Yes.
Sorry. Continue. Yeah. What other shows we got?
We've got. Why did it? No. Good. Stop. No. Okay. Sorry. It just.
Do you want me to say another one?
My screen just froze. Yeah. Here we go. Servamp. Servamp. I don't know anything about that either. This is great. Either. We don't know anything about any of these.
It's okay.
End Ride, which apparently that's a continuation. That's a new season of that.
Yeah.
From what I've heard. The Heroic Legend of Arslan, Dust Storm Dance. Now, this is something, because this is...
Hiromu Arakawa.
Yeah, this is one of her things. So.
Yes. She's the... looks like she's doing the art for it. Legend of Arslan is actually an old thing. If you look it up on my anime list, you'll find something from the 80s, I think.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the updated one with Arakawa's artwork in it. Looks like it's just the second season, because the last season came out about a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago. I think I was still in college. Might have been I think it was the spring of my junior year of college. Yeah, because I was watching Kuroko at the time when it came out. So that would be spring of my junior year. So this is the second season, about 2 years after the first one ended. And I heard a lot of good things about it, too.
Yeah, I heard good stuff about it as well. So it's cool seeing her attached to different stuff. I really need to get into some of the other manga and shows that she's been a part of. Did that farming one be made into a show?
I think it did, and so did Hero Tale.
Yeah, Hero Tale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the farming one was an anime. I remember seeing the opening for it.
Yeah, and that was a lot of based on her, because she was a farm girl growing up.
Yeah.
So
that's why she always draws herself as a cow.
Yep. That is very funny. It's cute. There's a new season of Love Live, I guess.
Yep.
Love Live Sunshine. Okay.
Bunch of tiny school idol girls doing school
Cool.
idol girl stuff.
Yes,
And
like
being
like
moe
is.
and everything that entails. And singing.
Yeah, and singing, of course.
Yeah. What else we got? Planetarian.
Yes, I've heard very good stuff about this. I've at least from what I remember, I remember seeing a trailer for it a long time ago and thinking that it looked really intriguing and interesting.
She have a big ribbon on her head.
I don't know if that's that or it's her hair.
Yeah. Looks like
I'm
she's
guessing
got a
it's a
big blue
ribbon.
ribbon on her head.
It might be a big blue ribbon.
And she's floating on like a training droid. You know what I mean? Like from Star Wars, or the torture droid from Star Wars. That had the little arms on it.
Yeah. Oh, that was. I was just doing that noise. I was trying to make the noise sound like one of those, but I ended up sounding more like the wow 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 wow. The Star Trek 4. Boy, I have to make reference to Star Trek every time. Every
You really
episode.
do, don't you? Everybody,
Like, what is
everybody,
that?
skip ahead 40 seconds
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you can get past Alec talking about Star Trek.
The probe that sounds like the humpback whales.
And welcome back. I'm glad that you managed to miss out talking about Star Trek. Let's get back to talking about anime. They also have Cheer Boys, which I don't know what that is, but there's two
I don't
guys
know,
on
but
it.
it looks exactly how it sounds. It looks like cheerleader boys.
Yeah, it's probably
like, okay.
probably one of those ones that's aimed at the girls, kind of
Yeah.
like Free and what was the free running one that I watched this past?
I don't know, but I want to watch Free.
Stride, yeah, Prince of Stride. That's what it was. I should watch. I should watch Free.
Was it like a parkour? Was it like a parkour
Yeah,
one or something?
it was parkour relay racing.
That's crazy. That
with-
sounds fun, actually.
Except it's the same. Except it's like all guys being questionable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was hilarious. There's this one scene where this guy lost like a training race and he's all sad, and then like out of nowhere, this mysterious older senpai with extremely long purple hair walked in, and he just goes, "You need to feel the wind," and then just walks away. And I was like, "Look at that guy! Look at that mysterious man! I can't wait until he becomes a regular character." And then he did. Oh yeah, I recommend. It's not the best. It's actually a pretty terrible show, but you should watch it because it's good for a laugh.
Cool. I might just very well look into that.
Yeah, go for it.
That sounds funny.
What's next on this list?
First Love Monster.
First Love Monster. Speaking of shows that are aimed at the girls,
the art style of this looks very much like it is.
Yeah. It really does. There's like a guy in a hoodie with white hair, and then behind him there are two girls that kind of look like they would be sisters.
I wonder if they're competing for his love.
Maybe. Probably.
Maybe. The Disastrous Life of Psyche K.
This guy's
This
got a
looks very-
bubblegum head.
And it looks very bizarre.
Yeah.
He looks like he has two control sticks on his head.
Yeah. And it looks like the cast behind it looks like Cromartie High School people behind him.
Yeah, it looks very wacky and weird.
Mm-hmm. He's got green
Okay.
glasses. This is
So
the
this
one that
next-
made me laugh. Here, dude.
Yeah, this next one, because the picture is
The picture's
hysterical.
hilarious.
It's just this guy, like, holding his index finger and middle finger
It's like
out with his...
He's literally making a finger gun. He's doing
Yeah, he's
finger
making a
guns
finger
at you.
gun,
He's like, what's up?
and and he's kind of like doing this like coy smile, or he's like, sup.
yeah.
And it's just like, it's hysterical. I love it.
It's called Handa-kun.
Handa-kun.
Handa-kun. Apparently, this is a prequel series to Berserkémon, which is a show that came out, I think, 2 years ago, about a graphic designer, mangaka kind of guy, living his life, taking care of his niece or some kind of small child girl. This is a prequel series to that that follows him, in high school discovering his love for graphic design. So, and his name's Honda-kun, and he looks like a suave gentleman that you would want to hang out with.
Something like that. We'll give him the benefit of
I
the doubt.
freaked out when I saw that picture. You remember?
Yeah,
I was
it
just
was
like,
funny.
look at that!
It's very funny. I don't know why they decided to go with that, but he's like, "What's up? I got a finger gun."
You're like that. Well, there was a show that just came out this season, Sakamoto-kun desu ka, or whatever, Sakamoto desu ka, and I have like looking at it. That picture of Honda-kun gave me the same vibe as that, where it's just Sakamoto desu ka is just this show about this one guy named Sakamoto who is the coolest guy in school and nobody can ever troll him because he out-trolls everybody. He's literally Bugs Bunny. Like, he's sitting in his chair and some people are like, oh, I hate that Sakamoto guy. And so they pull his chair out from under him, but he's supporting all his weight on one leg and he just stays like he's sitting and he's just like, could you please put my chair back? Like, out-trolling everybody who's trying to pick on him. And that's the entire show. And I got that vibe when I looked at this picture, and I just thought it was the most hilarious thing ever. Honda-kun.
It's too much. It really is too much. Show by Rock! Short!
Show by Rock. Yeah. I think I'm familiar with this because I saw
really?
I think I saw an opening for another piece of Show by Rock. It's just basically a girl band doing music things. And they all kind of like wear fun costumes and make music. And so in the intro they're like, it's just them as chibis dancing around doing music things. But I don't know any of the contents of the actual show. I only know it by the opening. So it looks like they're getting a second season or like a series of OVAs for that. So more little girl music in the same vein as Love Live. And then finally there is
Puzzle and Dragons X.
Yes, which looks like
so
the new kid's hotness.
So Puzzle and Dragons is like a pretty long running game series in Japan.
Yeah.
It's basically what it sounds like. It's like a puzzle game. I think it's a match 3 game. You know, just like Candy Crush or Bejeweled or whatever you want to call it. It's a match 3 game, but there was a recent release where they came out with Super Mario Brothers version. It was like Puzzle and Dragons Mario version, and it was combined with Puzzle and Dragons X. So, I guess they're making an anime adaptation of it.
Yeah,
which is interesting. I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's cool. You know, go for it. Why not? They might as well make a new Bakuman Battle Brawlers.
Yeah, that's literally what it looks like. In the same vein as Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, and no, actually, they didn't catch. This isn't going to catch on like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon did. In the same vein as Beyblades and Beat-em-on, we have Puzzle and Dragons X. You remember Beat-em-on?
No.
Where he had like a little guy. Oh god! So it was Beyblades, but you would shoot metal marbles at each other.
I thought that was what Bakuman was. Baku, whatever it was called.
Byakugan?
Byakugan?
Byakugan Battle Brawlers.
Byakugan. Byakugan's from Naruto.
Oh no, Byakugan's from Naruto.
Naruto.
Byakugan's from Naruto. It's Bakugan Battle Brawlers.
Bakugan? Yeah, that's it.
And then there was Beat-em-on, which was, you had like a little plastic soldier-looking guy that you could get, and you would put him on the ground. I don't remember if I'm remembering this right. I remember that you would put this little soldier guy on the ground, and you could put metal marbles into him, and then like shoot the marbles at each other. Beat-em-on. Beat-em-on. Now we're Googling Beat-em-on. Beat-em-on is a marble shooting toy produced in Japan. You have like the little tiny figures that you could get, and they had marbles in them, and they would shoot little metal marbles at each other. Beat-em-on. Do you not remember that?
No, I vaguely, but not very well.
Now, what's Bakugan?
I thought it was like the same sort of thing, where they're like little marbles, but they like have little robot men in them or something.
Bakugan.
Isn't it Bakugan Battle Brawlers?
Battle Brawlers.
Bakugan Battle Brawlers.
Is in
Japanese Canadian.
Oh no, the Bakugan, the toys were these small little balls, and you would roll
Oh,
them, and
okay.
then they would pop open into toys.
Yeah, yeah, and that's like what happened in the show. They were little. It was basically Yu-Gi-Oh 2.0.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh with marbles, and
Yeah.
beat 'em on was you would shoot each other with marbles.
Okay.
And so, in the
That's
same vein as beat 'em on and Bakugan, we now have the Puzzle and Dragons X anime.
Yep.
That's not going to catch on, but it exists,
There it is.
and it will be forgotten.
And it got dubbed
And
too by Funimation.
and it's getting dubbed.
No less. By Funimation, no
Yeah,
less.
July 19th in U.S. and Canada is when it
That's
will
really
be
funny.
is when it will premiere. That's
That's
that's this
That's really
week.
amusing.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, that's the
That's huge. That's kind of crazy that they're doing so
that's
much.
what. Yeah, that is a lot of shows. 12, right? Is that what I counted?
12. Yeah, right in like
15.
right in like a month period.
Yeah.
Premiering. That's kind of
July 16th is the first premiere, and the August 11th is the last premiere. So that is
Yeah.
a straight month of shows.
premiering. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's nuts. Well, okay. Well, that's good for that. We don't have a ton of other stuff. I don't think.
Death Note.
Yeah, there's the Death Note. So last time we talked about the Death Note Netflix movie that's coming out and how disappointing that is. Light Turner.
Turner.
Light Turner.
I told that
and
to some of my
probably-
friends who didn't even
probably-
watch Death Note, and they cracked up.
And probably no Shinigami, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I doubt it. But at the same time, there's a new Death Note film coming out in Japan this year. This year, not next year, but this year. And this one is a sequel to... There have been 3 Death Note live-action films released in Japan, and the first 2 were roughly based on the series. I think the conclusion of the show or of the film rather ended with it was a final fight. It was kind of a final mind game between L and Light.
Yeah.
At the end of it, there was a sequel film to that called L Change the World, which I think was then adapted into a book and a manga. And now there's a sequel film to that called, I don't remember what the subtitle is.
Oh, let me check real quick. Death Note Light Up the New World.
Light Up the New World. And it's a sequel to that. So they showed off like a lot of stuff. It's obviously you can't really understand much of it because it's all in Japanese, but the great thing about what this series has always done is that it has embraced the supernatural part of it. I mean, obviously it's in Japan, it's Japanese source material, but they like have Ryuk like flying around in it.
Yes.
And he's a big CG monster, and he doesn't necessarily look good, but that's something that I've always appreciated about these films, is that they've always like stayed true to the source material in the sense that they keep the rules the same. Obviously they deviated a lot because they condensed it down, and the conclusion's not nearly the same as it is in the manga or the anime, but
Yeah.
but it's cool that they've done this, and I guess it's popular enough that they're making even another sequel.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't share your opinion about the way Ryuk looks. I think he looks great because he looks exactly like he did in the anime, and that's what I want from any adaptation.
I'm more like I wish he looked better. I guess in the sense that like he looks
I don't know, he
it's-
looks too CGI. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I think.
He
That's
looks
kind of
like
what I mean.
he looks like the Rock in Scorpion King.
He doesn't quite look that bad.
But that's kind of but that's what you mean, like
yeah. It sort of like takes you out of it a little bit. But like honestly, I don't know what else you'd be able to do.
yeah, because he's
So, like,
he's so weird looking and scary.
Yeah. So my complaint really doesn't have any like. It's not really a very good complaint, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because like what else would they do, you know? But. So yeah, he does look very much like he does in the anime and manga. So that's huge props to them for keeping that design the same, because he looks. I love his design. So,
They also had in the trailer there was that other Shinigami whose name I forget. Do you remember? The kind of like the girl one.
Nah, yeah, yes, okay.
Looked like she was in there too. She was kind of like all white and she had really long fingers. I forget her name, but she looked like she was in the trailer eating something. Probably an apple. You know those Shinigamis love apples.
Yeah, human food is like, it's like a they never get to have it. They're in the supernatural world all the time. So
Yeah, where it's all like dirt and weird, gross things. So I think I'm gonna try and watch these Japanese live action ones now that I know they exist.
I've really wanted to for a while. I don't know why I never have gotten around to it.
We should do that. Watch them and then watch JoJo because we never made plans to watch JoJo.
Also, it's really funny because one of these guys in here looks like a Japanese Jon Snow.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, the
guy who plays Ryuzaki.
Ryuzaki, yeah.
Doesn't he look like a Japanese Jon Snow? I think he does.
A little bit.
I think he kind of does.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think it's the mustache and goatee.
No, it's the jumbled hair.
Oh, that might be it too. I don't know. It's
He's
funny.
also,
I kind of think he looks.
Also, the all black and the way that he's standing makes his face look longer.
Yeah.
Like what's his name? So if he had like a thinner nose,
yeah,
it would be even more.
It would be like,
accurate.
holy cow, it's Japanese Jon Snow.
Yeah, I like how everybody just calls that guy Jon Snow, and it's straight up. It's really not his name.
Yeah, I don't know what his name is. I can't.
I
remember.
don't
either. Jon Snow, actor.
Are you just filling time because there's no news?
Kit Harington, that's his name.
Kit Harington.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like the Japanese Kit Harington.
Yeah. He might as well be. Yeah,
Sosuke Ikematsu.
So in terms of gaming news, there I didn't know. There wasn't really much of anything this week that I was aware of.
There really was not.
Um,
there was the Overwatch character. That's specific to me, and I already talked about it forever. So we don't need to do that. I guess, unless you have something else, do you want to just talk about what we're looking forward to for this next week and call it a night?
Yeah, Star Trek. It's funny.
All right, everybody skip ahead another minute and a half so Alec can talk about what he looks... No, I'm kidding.
Star Trek Beyond is coming out this week.
Oh, it is? That's this week?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes, this weekend coming up, the 22nd.
That is this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, I should see if my friends want to go.
Apparently initial reaction has been very positive. However, I take that with an extreme grain of salt because that happened with Fantastic Four, the new one. That happened with Ghostbusters. That happened with Ghostbusters, which Ghostbusters apparently has been getting amazing reviews. Actually, no, not amazing reviews. Pretty it's okay reviews. It has a 70% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but if you go in and actually read the reviews, they're it's fine.
Yeah.
They're not glowing wow, this movie is incredible. They're it's an okay movie, but you probably won't remember it in a few years, but it's fine. It works well as a summer blockbuster. People are really reticent about it.
Yeah.
And people seem really frightened to say actually speak their mind if they hate it or not.
Yeah.
Which is which really bothers me because I don't know. I know a couple reviewers that I know of have come out and have said it's garbage. Other people have said that it's it could have been way better. It's not necessarily really that bad, but it's not really that great either. Again, they're a little more reticent, but they were a little bit more specific about being harsh about it. They weren't all "Yay, it's fine. Hooray for being average."
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I have no interest in it whatsoever. I think the license was fine the way it was. I think it's sad that that it was made at all, because I think that they could have made something really cool with it, but it ended up not being very cool.
Yes.
And now kind of makes me wish it was just never made and they just left it
in agreement with you.
So it's really too bad. But as a positive, I get to one of my friends was talking to him about it. He's like, I've never actually seen the original Ghostbusters, so I don't really know anything about it. I was like, are you serious? And
Boom, there you go.
I was like, boom, this is a perfect. So here we go. It's a perfect witnessing opportunity for
Yeah.
Ghostbusters. So there you go. Cool. I mean, that's pretty much it for me this week. I can't really think of anything else. My parents are coming back.
Games, anime,
tomorrow.
anything you want to watch or see?
I might go. I don't know. I feel like this would be a good week to finally finish up Koro with me and my mom.
Yeah, and then you can read my review.
Yeah, so I think I might try to do that this week, hopefully. I want to try to finish. I'm going to be playing a lot more Zero Time Dilemma, obviously. I've been waiting for this game since it was announced last year, so...
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this game since I finished Virtue's Last Reward, so... Other stuff. I'll probably still be playing Sonic 06, but I want to see if I'll get back into Demon's Souls again. I really want to get into that and beat it. So, I'll be getting back into that for sure. As well. Anything else? I'm not really sure. I don't know about what I'll be watching. I might watch some more Mushishi here and there.
Yeah.
But I might try to look up and find another show to look into as well. So
maybe you should watch some Berserk.
Maybe I should.
Don't watch the new anime. Read the manga. Seriously, don't watch the new anime. It's terrible. Because now that
really?
Yeah, now that I know about Berserk, and I look at that thing, I'm like, what the heck is this? It's all, first of all, it's all CG, but it's not like Bubuki Baranki CG that's good. It's bad looking CG on top of 2D everything else, and interspersed with 2D animation that looks better than the 3D. And then they've changed character designs. One thing, okay, so the other great thing about Berserk, I'm going to come back to this for a second. The cast is incredibly diverse. There are black characters, there are Asian characters, there are white characters, there are characters from all ethnicities. In the new anime, Casca, who is dark-skinned, black hair character, in the new anime she is a ginger, white skin ginger.
Okay.
Part of what makes Casca great is that she's dark-skinned. Like, that's part of who she is.
That's so weird. Why did they do that?
It's very weird. And somebody supercut the first 2 episodes. I think it was the first 2 episodes. Supercut all of the 2D animation in the first 2 episodes of that new anime, and it totaled to 2.5 minutes. Which means out of, 48 minutes, 2.5 don't look bad. And also, they're doing weird stuff. I was talking to somebody else that I know that's actually read through all of Berserk. They're doing weird stuff with the timeline. Like, they've skipped all of the development arcs, and they've dropped it down into the middle of like a serious part of the thing. And in between the first and second episode, they leave out like a whole arc that has extreme plot relevance. They're basically just cutting things to put in more action. Like, to fit more of the action scenes into the show. They're cutting, like, dialogue, and they're cutting, important plot things that happen. It's just a mess. It's very bizarre. Read the manga. Don't watch the new anime.
Okay, that's good to know. That is good to know.
Yeah. So, maybe you can check out the manga. If you don't have anything else that you want to watch.
Yeah, I might do that. I don't know. I'll think about it. I don't know. I've got like, when it comes to actually experiencing the week, it always ends up being way different. So
yeah.
So who knows? But how about you? What are you looking forward to this week?
Reading Berserk. Continuing to watch and see if I'll get to play Overwatch like everybody else. More Dead Man. I didn't actually watch any Ranma. I meant to watch more Ranma 1/2 this past week, and I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I will get back into Ranma, Last of Us, and Pokemon Go. I should finish off that challenge run of Pokemon X that I had been doing.
Yeah, I should do that too. I didn't have very much left, I don't think.
Yeah,
Dubs' challenge, you mean?
Dubs' challenge. I
Yeah.
think I have one gym in the Elite Four left, so I could get going on that.
I have probably 3 gyms, but I could probably beast through it pretty quickly if I set my mind to it.
Yeah.
So.
So yeah, Berserk, Overwatch, Last of Us, Ranma, and Deadman. Those are my 5 things that I want to do this week.
Right on. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be playing tons of Pokemon Go, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So.
It's kind of just a constant thing because it's always in my pocket.
Yeah.
Can always just turn it on.
Yep, that's the great thing, the wonderful thing about it.
Yeah.
Or the more like the wonderful thing for them about it, anyways.
It's always there.
Yep. Well, all right, I'd say that about wraps it up this time.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right. Well, you can find us on Facebook. Yeah, facebook.com/Shonen Grump. Like us on there. We keep you updated on episodes coming out. You can subscribe to us here on YouTube. We still have really not talked about... I mean, we've talked about it on the show, but like after the show's done, like then we forget to actually talk about it.
Yeah.
Putting it on iTunes and other places. So.
Yeah.
But we're still young yet. We still have got some time to do that, so we can set about doing that. Feel free to ask us questions on Facebook, or you can email us at, I don't remember our email, so I won't give that out right yet. But you can message us on Facebook and stuff, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, drop a comment on this YouTube video. That's another thing you could do. We'll reply to those. And you can watch me stream things on Twitch.
Yeah.
Also, twitch.com/Karhall, Karhall.
Sweet.
And that will probably be in the video description as well.
Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, I will see you next week, and hopefully have another fun-filled episode. Maybe there'll be more news to talk about next week.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you next week too, and I can't wait to hear what you think of Korra.
Yeah, I'm totally.
Even if there's no news, how about you finish Korra so we can talk about it next week?
Yeah, we can have a spoiler discussion about it.
Yes.
So, alrighty. Bye, everybody.
Bye.